My name is Alden. I'm 28 years old and I'm a software engineer at Technova, a hot tech company in Silicon Valley. At the moment, I'm sitting in our apartment with the rain tapping against the glass outside our window, as if it's some kind of ominous omen. Tonight was supposed to be a normal Friday night. Thea, my 25-year-old girlfriend, was attending the company's annual event. But for some reason, an unspeakable uneasiness flooded through me. Thinking back to today before work, Thea excitedly shows me the gown she's handpicked. "This is the perfect opportunity to expand my network," she said with a smile and a twinkle in her eye. "I've got to be on my best behavior." I just nodded and smiled, not thinking much of it. After all, in Silicon Valley, occasions like this were perfectly normal. Thea's messages dwindled as the annual meeting began. The last one came at 10 p.m. "Annual meeting was awesome. Don't wait up for me. Be home late." After that, I couldn't reach her anymore. I tried texting and calling her, but nothing came. The storm outside my window intensified and my anxiety grew. Midnight crept up on me. I sat at my computer, staring at the screen in disbelief. Suddenly, a crazy thought broke into my mind. Check Thea's work email. As the company's software engineer, I have the ability to break encrypted emails. It's a privilege we agreed to use only in emergencies. I knew it was wrong, but something inside me made me click the mouse. My heart almost stopped when I saw the email. It was an encrypted email from Thea's boss, Mark Williams. "Thea, looking forward to having dinner with you tonight. Don't forget to bring our special projects information." My mind went blank. Thea's recent frequent overtime work, those mysterious phone calls, and the subtle change in her attitude toward Mark. There seemed to be an explanation for everything, but this explanation made me feel suffocated. Just as I was lost in my chaotic thoughts, the doorbell suddenly rang. I dragged my heavy steps to the door, and through the cat's eye I saw the anxious face of Thea's BFF, Sophia. I take a deep breath and open the door. Sophia rushes inside, drenched and with panic in her eyes. "Alden, something's wrong," she gasped. "Thea could be in danger." My heart sank and I felt the world crumble beneath my feet. There seemed to be more secrets waiting to be revealed on this rainy night. I, on the other hand, was standing on the edge of a vortex with no end in sight, about to fall into an unknown abyss. Sophia's presence caught me off guard. She was standing in the middle of my living room, rain dripping off her dress and creating a small puddle on the floor. I hand her a towel and try to stay calm. "What's going on? Isn't Thea at the annual conference?" I asked, the tremor in my voice betraying my unease. Sophia wiped her wet hair and shook her head. "The annual meeting ended a long time ago. Thea sent me an encrypted message saying that she had discovered some unseemly collusion in the company and was going to collect evidence. Couldn't get in touch after that." My stomach twisted. What had Thea found out? Why had she kept it from me? I took a deep breath and forced myself to calm down. "What kind of hookup?" Sophia hesitated, then pulled an encrypted flash drive out of her bag. "Thea asked me to keep this. She said if anything happens, she'll give it to you." I stared at the tiny flash drive as if it were Pandora's magic box. I knew that once I opened it, our lives could change forever. But I had no choice. I took the flash drive, plugged it into my computer, and began to break the encryption. As the documents were decrypted one by one, a shocking truth emerged. Technova was suspected of a massive data breach and insider trading. But what shocked me even more was that there was a high-resolution photo of Thea and Mark plotting something a few months earlier. My mind was in turmoil, a million questions swirling around in my head. Did Thea already know about all this? Was she doing some kind of undercover investigation? Or, I didn't dare think further. I turned to Sophia, hoping to get some explanation from her. But when I meet her eyes, I see a flash of panic or guilt. "Sophia," I said slowly, "what do you know?" She avoided my gaze, her fingers twisting together uneasily. I'm not really sure. Thea has been really weird lately, getting encrypted calls in the middle of the night all the time." I secretly adjusted my smartwatch and quietly activated the recording function. Maybe it's professional habit, maybe it's intuition. I feel that Sophia knows much more than what she's saying. "We've got to find her," I snapped. "Do you know where she might have gone?" Sophia hesitated, then said, she mentioned the company had a secret data center in the suburbs, said there might be more evidence stored there. I immediately realized the gravity of the situation. If Thea really did go there, I shudder to think what might have happened. Come on, we're going now. I grabbed my jacket and car keys, my heart racing. We sprinted to the parking lot and got into my car. The rain slapped violently against the windows, as if warning us of the danger we were about to face. I activated the autopilot mode, and the car drove off into the rain. Sitting in the driver's seat, my thoughts are all over the place. Thea, what are you involved in? Why don't you trust me enough to tell me the truth? And Sophia, is she really just a messenger of goodwill? I stole a glance at Sophia in the rearview mirror, and she looked nervous and uneasy, her eyes fluttering. A terrifying thought popped into my head. What if this was all an elaborate trap? But right now, I have no choice. Whether it's the truth or a bigger lie that awaits me up ahead, I must face it. Because Thea may be in danger, and I, for one, may be the only one who can help her. The car continued on through the rainy night, the view out the window blurring into a blur. I don't know where this journey will end, but I do know that from this moment on, our lives will never be the same again. The rain hits the windows like bullets as my car moves silently through the darkness. The silence inside the car was suffocating, broken only by the occasional beep of the navigation system. I glanced at Sophia on the passenger side, who was staring out the window with a stony expression. How much farther? I break the silence, my voice a little hoarse. Sophia looked back, almost there, shouldn't be far ahead. As we drifted away from the city, the landscape around us became unfamiliar and desolate. Finally, the outline of a modern building hidden in the woods appeared in the rain. That was Technova's secret data center. I parked behind a nearby bush and turned out my headlights. We've got to be careful, I whispered. There's got to be surveillance in this place. We approached the building quietly, the rain soaking my jacket. Coming to the back door, I pulled out my prepared hacking equipment. As a software engineer, I never thought I'd one day use those skills for something like this. A few minutes later, the electronic lock buzzed slightly and the door opened. We slipped inside the darkened building. It was much bigger inside than I expected. In the darkness, the indicator lights of countless servers flickered like fireflies, emitting a faint blue light. The air was filled with the hum of electronic equipment running and the low rumble of cooling systems. I put on my special smart glasses and began scanning my surroundings. Suddenly, I noticed a hidden terminal with a data stream flashing on the screen. Found it, I whispered. Walking quickly toward the terminal, I felt a wave of vertigo as I looked at what was on the screen. A large number of sensitive files were being deleted, and at an alarming rate. Damn it, they're destroying evidence. I cursed under my breath, my fingers flying over the keyboard in an attempt to stop the digital carnage. Just then, I heard a barely audible vibration from Sophia's smartwatch. I caught a glimpse of her in the afterglow and quickly glanced at it, then pressed a few buttons quickly. A sense of foreboding surged through me, but I had no time to think about it. Suddenly, the roar of a car engine and the sound of hurried footsteps came from outside. My heart almost stopped. Hi. I pulled Sophia and ducked behind a row of tall server cabinets. The footsteps were getting closer and I held my breath, feeling my heartbeat so loud that it almost gave away our position. Through the gap between the cabinets, I saw several figures walk in. When I recognized two of them, I felt the world turn upside down. It's Mark Williams and Thea. Check to see if anyone has hacked into the system. Mark's voice rang out, calm and authoritative. Okay, Thea replied, her voice surprisingly calm. All sensitive data is stored in that terminal. My mind went blank. What is Thea doing here? Is she investigating undercover? Or, I don't dare think about it. Just then Sophia sprang to her feet, a strange determination on her face. Don't look for it, she said calmly. It's us. I froze in place, feeling like I was caught in a huge hoax. Mark froze, then burst out laughing. Great. Looks like we have our little cast in place. Alden, you come out too. I stood up slowly, feeling my legs as heavy as lead. When my eyes met Thea's, I saw mixed emotions in her eyes. Surprise, apology, and relief. It was the moment I realized that our lives would never be the same again. I, on the other hand, was standing at the center of a huge conspiracy, surrounded by the people I trusted the most. I took a deep breath and prepared to face the coming storm. Whatever the truth was, I had to know it. For Thea's sake, for my own, and for the trust between us that I thought would never be broken. The air seemed to freeze. I stood there, feeling like a clown in an absurdist play. Thea, Sophia, Mark, and I, the four of us, formed an eerie square, staring at each other, none of us willing to speak first. In the end, it was Mark who broke the silence. He had a winning smile on his face. Alden, we finally meet. I've heard Thea talk about you. Smart programmer, right? I ignored his sarcasm and turned to Thea. What's going on here? What the hell are you playing at? A flicker of pain flashed in Thea's eyes, but quickly regained its composure. Alden, I'm sorry. Things aren't what you think they are. Oh? What does that look like? I sneered. Like my girlfriend and her boss are plotting something nasty? Or like I'm being kept in the dark and being the fool in your game? Enough. Sophia suddenly shouted. Thea is on a secret mission. She's an undercover FBI agent. This explosive news brought the entire room to a dead silence. I felt as if my brain was online, unable to process the information. Thea took a deep breath and nodded slowly. Yes, Alden. I am an agent of the FBI. I've been lurking at Technova for 2 years now, investigating their illegal data trading and insider trading practices. I feel like I've been hit over the head. We've been together for over a year, living together, sharing secrets, and now I realize I don't know this woman in front of me at all. What about me? I asked with difficulty. Is our relationship part of the mission? A tear flashed in Thea's eye. No, Alden. It was an accident that I fell in love with you, but it was real. I shouldn't have, but I couldn't help my feelings. Mark burst out laughing. What a touching play. But, dear Thea, did you forget to tell your boyfriend that you've given us all the evidence? Thea's face instantly turned pale. I felt a wave of vertigo and couldn't believe my ears. What? I looked to Thea, hoping to see denial in her eyes, but all I see is deep guilt. Mark continued smugly. Thea made a wise choice. She chose money and power over your ridiculous sense of justice. I felt like my world was falling apart. I turned to Sophia. Are you in on this? Sophia lowered her head. I'm sorry, Alden. I'm Thea's liaison. But we didn't realize things would turn out like this. Just then, the entire data center was suddenly plunged into darkness. Alarms sounded shrilly and red emergency lights began to flash. Shit, Mark cursed. What's going on? I suddenly realized that while I was hiding, I had activated a delay program. Now it's destroying the entire data center system. In the confusion, I felt someone grab my hand. It was Thea. Come with me, she whispered. We need to get out of here. I hesitated, but ran after her. Mark's angry growls and Sophia's shouts came from behind us, but we didn't stop. Dashing into the rain, Thea pulled me and ran to my car. Just then, sirens sounded in the distance. The FBI, Thea panted. They're here. We got into the car and I started it immediately. As we pulled away from the data center, my mind was filled with questions. Thea looked at me with mixed emotions in her eyes. Alden, I know you have a lot of questions right now. I promise to tell you the truth about all of them. But right now, we need to get out of here. Do you trust me? I stared at the road ahead of me, the windshield wipers struggling to clear the rain from the windshield. I don't know whether to trust Thea or not, but I know I have no choice at this moment. Where to? I asked. Thea sighed in relief. Head east. I know a safe place. As our car disappeared into the rain, I realized we were driving into the unknown. And I, for one, was in a world where I didn't know what the truth was, surrounded by lies and betrayal. But somehow, in the midst of all this chaos, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, the truth will finally come out. It was still raining, but it had gotten lighter. Our car traveled through the darkness, away from the hustle and bustle of the city, and Thea guided us to an isolated town, stopping in front of a nondescript house. This is the safe house, Thea said softly. We can hide here for a while. I silently followed her into the house. The house was simple but tiny and looked like it hadn't been lived in for a long time. Thea skillfully checked the room to make sure it was safe before relaxing. Well, I said, with exhaustion and a hint of anger in my voice, can we explain now? Thea took a deep breath and sat down on the couch. Alden, I owe you an explanation, a full one. For the next 2 hours, Thea confided everything to me. How she'd been recruited by the FBI, how she'd infiltrated Technova, and how she'd uncovered illegal behavior at the top of the company. But what shocked me the most was that she said she was really in love with me, which made her mission incredibly difficult. I was going to end the mission as soon as I gathered enough evidence and tell you everything, Thea said, tears glistening in her eyes. But Mark found out who I was. He threatened to hurt you unless I helped him destroy the evidence. I was silent for a long time, trying to digest the information. Part of me wanted to believe her. The other part was filled with doubt and a sense of betrayal. So what ended up happening at the data center? I asked. Thea revealed a bitter smile. That program you started actually helped a lot. Not only did it destroy the evidence Mark was trying to hide, it also triggered the backdoor program I had planted earlier, transmitting all the key evidence to the FBI servers. I froze. So, you've actually been carrying out the plan? Thea nodded. Yes, but I had to act like I was betraying the FBI to get Mark to let his guard down. I'm sorry I got you into this. Alden, I was trying to protect you. I stood up and walked over to the window. Outside, the rain had stopped and the first rays of morning light began to penetrate the clouds. My insides were still chaotic, but certain things were starting to become clear. So what now? I asked, still with my back to her. The FBI will handle the rest. Mark and the others involved will be arrested. As for me, my identity as an undercover agent has been exposed, and after this mission is over, I'll probably be transferred elsewhere. I turned and looked at Thea, who, despite everything, was still beautiful and strong in my eyes. But now, there was an invisible gap between us. So, what about us? I asked softly. Thea stood up and walked over to me. Her eyes were filled with apology and dismay. Alden, I love you. That will never change. But I lied to you so much that I know it's almost impossible to rebuild trust. I felt my heart seized hard. Even though reason told me she was right, emotionally, I couldn't just let go. Maybe, I said, but maybe we could start over? Get to know each other again. No more lies and secrets. A glimmer of hope flashed in Thea's eyes, but quickly dimmed. Will you give me that chance? Even after I've lied to you for so long? I took a deep breath. I don't know. It will take time, and trust will need to be rebuilt. But I'm willing to try. Thea gave a teary-eyed smile and gently took my hand. Just then, Thea's cell phone rings. It was her FBI contact. She answered it, and her expression turned serious. They arrested Mark and the other top brass, she said as she hung up. But Sophia's missing. We looked at each other and both realized that this story wasn't over. Perhaps it's just the beginning of something new. Walking out of the safe house, the sunlight poured down on us. I don't know what the future holds, whether Thea and I will be able to rebuild our trust, and what Sophia's disappearance means. But I do know that whatever awaits us ahead, we will face it together. Because sometimes, trust is like broken glass. While it may never be fully reparable, through patience and sincerity, we may be able to create new, more beautiful patterns out of the shards. In Silicon Valley, a place of opportunity and challenge, our story is just beginning. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.